Hello and welcome to Pharma Television News Review here at Nordic Life Science Days in Stockholm in 2015. On this show, I have Anna Stenstam, who is the CEO of a company called CR Competence. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Fintan.
It's a pleasure to have you, Anna. Your company, CR Competence, it's one way of describing it is a CRO, but let's just dig in a little bit deeper into what that you actually do. So for the first part of this, could you describe what you actually do and where you fit in that spectrum of CRO services?
Yes. Well, let's start with what we are not.
Okay.
We are not an analytical lab.
Right.
We are not working with the clinical studies.
Yep.
We work before that. We work with the product development, with the formulation of the products,
Yep.
with the choosing the salt, with looking at the polymorphs, looking at all the physical chemical characteristics, and we do that scientifically based.
Okay.
Okay. When the product is formulated, we can assist also in the later process stages.
Sure.
So that is also one of our very important services that we do.
Right.
So, but it is service provided as a scientific insight.
Right. It's quite interesting you say that because there's a lot of CROs that don't do that. So you actually fill a specific gap that's required in the industry.
Yes, because we actually have many of those CROs as our clients because we all run into problems, and we are problem solvers.
Indeed.
So we're sometimes looked at as sort of the Ghostbusters of pharma. So we're, you're a scientific rescue team.
Right, indeed. That sounds a good way of describing it. So obviously, you just mentioned the CROs are your client base. Who else are your client base? Obviously,
the pharmaceutical companies.
Pharmaceutical companies.
Half of what we do is done for pharmaceutical companies or CROs within the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
Then the rest is actually completely other things, which is one of our happy things about our lives, is that we believe in cross-business learning and gains.
Right.
So we do work with other things as well, like cosmetics, personal care, medtech, and solar cells.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, and before you think that we are not focused, we are. We are very, very focused on our core competences.
Yeah.
Formulation, for example.
Right.
And we choose to focus on that rather than on one industry.
Sure.
Because we know the value of going learnings from one business to another.
Right.
And
indeed.
I have an example for you.
Okay.
From just last week,
Yep.
where a medtech company got a new formulation from us based on what we know about the semiconductor industry.
Right.
So there.
So actually that's useful because you can actually cross, when you look at one particular industry, you can see how that can be applied to another industry. And often, because they're running in parallel, they never get that opportunity.
No, exactly.
So when you use the word insight, that is the part of what you mean by insight.
It is the part what I mean with insight, and not being afraid of thinking that way.
Right.
But with insight, I also mean that it's very important to work smart.
Right.
So you have to work with what is already known.
Yeah.
Science doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do more things and more studies that sort of don't get you anywhere. Science can be actually doing less to understand more, because you don't have to go rush out to the lab and do a lot of data points.
Yeah.
If you know how the curve looks like from theory.
Right.
So sometimes, you spend an hour in the library instead of 10 hours in the lab.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So just again, we'll just go back to your client base. You mentioned that it's quite a broad. You've obviously got a lot of experience and skill sets in the pharmaceutical sector, but your skills are associated with other sectors. Let's call it that. In terms of your client base, are they? Obviously you're based here in Sweden.
Yes.
Do your clients outside Sweden?
Oh, yes. No, we're dominantly clients outside of Sweden.
Okay.
So, yes, absolutely. We have Swedish clients, but the majority is not Swedish.
Okay, so Anna, give us some examples of companies you've actually worked with and what you've done with them.
Okay. Well, I can't tell you what we've done for particular clients. I can tell you that over the years we've provided IP, new formulations, line extensions, data in situations where you need to take strong decisions on what polymorph or excipient or molecules you actually use. So we know we've been of value for many different ones. We've also changed unit operations in processes to make them more robust. So that's what we've done over the years.
Okay.
I can mention one client in pharma, and that is Ferring in Denmark.
Okay.
And I'm happy to work with them actually, because they are truly committed to this understanding of their products and processes, which is what is needed to work with us. And we want to take that extra step from quality by design to provide the basis for what we call and want to believe is quality by understanding.
Indeed. So if I was a pharmaceutical company, or I was a biotech company out there, and there's a range of different types of definitions for those sort of companies. But let's say I'm a company that's got a product that is, or I've identified a particular compound that I want to take through to the next stage, which is clinical trials, obviously, and I need to formulate that correctly. Would you be able to solve that problem?
Yes, especially if you have a compound that is a bit complicated.
Right.
Because if you can use a formulation from the shelf, then, I mean, use it.
Yeah,
really.
indeed.
You should come to us because you're having problems with what you have.
Right.
You have a poorly soluble. You need to think through what to do in all the steps to get this to be a viable product. Then you could come to us.
But I was thinking, Anna, that they may want to come to you before they have those problems.
Well, that would be wonderful. Yes.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
because because often companies are still thinking about what the solution to their problem is, and they haven't just gone down an avenue, wasted a lot of time, which is important not to lose. You need to, sort these things out quite early. So coming to you at an earlier stage can actually be beneficial, I presume.
Yes, and actually more and more companies are realizing this. Also internally, they're trying to get away from the silo thinking. And when starting to think like that you actually need to have these competences, at least looking at your ideas early on, then they start thinking about us as well coming in to see these things. So I'm happy. That's something that's happening all over, I think, the industry, that you are thinking a little bit more ahead. So,
Anna Stenstam, thank you very much indeed for coming on the show.
Thank you.